Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Hospitality Room, presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright, with you on a Friday. It's been a busy week, and I guess there's some stuff going on this weekend, huh?
I've heard there is a football game this weekend.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go on record and saying I had more fun doing this in person than I do in our multiple box here.
It is. It's different, is it
It
not?
is, yeah.
It is much different. How are you today? First off.
I'm good. The basketball postseason is creeping up ever so slowly,
Yes.
and by ever so slowly, it's going to be here before you know it. And so it's starting to pick up down here. Business is booming, as they say.
Yes, and the spring is always crazy. I mean, the spring sports
Hmm.
are they're starting to practice. It's just around the
Yeah,
corner. Then basketball, yeah, it's fixing to get wild down there in North Little Rock at the
yeah.
AAA headquarters.
March 3rd, baseball softball officially begins.
Wow, unbelievable. All right,
Hmm.
so let us get to our picks as we get lead into the Super Bowl. Not bad. I mean, 48 and
Yeah,
51%. I'll take that.
yeah.
Lord, we're not, at least, we're not using real money, so the
True.
would fall. So the Super Bowl is Sunday.
Yeah.
Chiefs Eagles. In case you hadn't heard, Chiefs are a 1.5 favorite. I don't know. Is there, as a Chiefs fan, I don't know. It's cool. I never
Hmm.
thought I'd see them win three in my lifetime. Now they have a chance to go three in a row, which is insane.
Yeah.
I don't know. Where do you stand on this matchup?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good matchup. I mean, I think it's the matchup we all wanted, with the exception of we wanted Detroit. But the way that the season played out with all the injuries for Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia was a better team in the NFC, even though Detroit was the number one seed. I think we can all agree on that. Um, Two completely different styles from these two teams. I mean, you've got Kansas City traditionally, maybe not so much this year, is all about chuck it up and throw it all up and down the field. We're going to air it out. And this Philadelphia team, like, you don't even talk about their quarterback and receivers anymore, just because how good their running back and their running game has been with Saquon and that offensive line. So to me, it is a little intriguing. I do think Chiefs fatigue is certainly starting to affect a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why people were always, tired of seeing the Patriots be successful. You kind of want to see different teams, in the championship game, because we saw this game 2 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
can't even imagine what it was like in the '90s when we saw Bills Cowboys in back-to-back years, when you know the results that's going to happen. Um, I don't know. I mean, to me, this is going to be more so about what Kansas City can and can't do, more so than Philadelphia, because we all expect Kansas City to win this game, even
Mm-hmm.
though that they're only a point and a half favorite, depending on where you look. But it would be more shocking to see the Chiefs not win than obviously the Chiefs winning on Sunday.
No, I think that makes sense. I thought it was interesting when they have their big media soiree, and
Hmm.
I mean, we should get credentialed for that next year because obviously there is no criteria for this.
Right.
The guy that was going around asking chief players about how's it feel to have the refs in your pocket and that stuff. To me, that almost works against the Eagles, doesn't it? Because you're looking for any kind of motivation, I would think, at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you are, and also, I mean, when it gets to the point where the officials association, or what, the group has to come out and defend themselves, it gets a little sad. And even a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned, like, some of these personal fouls have to be addressed. The 15-yard penalties need to be reviewable. Make
Mm-hmm.
sure you get them correct. But also, like, the Chiefs, and I've got one good buddy from high school who's a big Chiefs fan, and I always text him about these things, and he's like, "Hey, it's not our fault. We're more disciplined in the postseason." I was like, you know what? That's valid.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes teams rise to the occasion. They're a middle of the pack talking about Kansas City and penalties during the regular season, but in the postseason, they play pretty clean. They don't turn the football over. There are no egregious penalties that are just not called, other than Jawan Taylor never lining up on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you could really point to the Kansas City. It's like, oh, they're not calling that. And
Right.
honestly, if they called that on every play, we'd be mad about that too.
Yeah. D- Do you think there's an advantage for Kansas City in the aspect of this is the fifth time or fourth time in 5 years they've been. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, they know this drill.
Yeah.
It's still new for some of the Eagles. Is
Yeah.
is that a little bit an advantage, you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, postseason experience and or success is always going to be a factor, and Kansas City certainly has that. And we sit here and talked about how great Saquon has been. This
Mm-hmm.
is all brand new to him. I mean, even playing in the championship game is new to him. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, the receivers, a lot of those offensive linemen, handful of defensive players, they know the drill. I mean, Philadelphia was there just a couple of years ago. The biggest adjustment that you always hear teams talk about after the fact is halftime and how much longer it is. I mean, you go like 12-minute halftime in the regular season. They've started to expand it in the playoffs to kind of get you ready for that Super Bowl. But you're going to go say from 12 minutes in the regular season to like 35 to 40 now in the Super Bowl. It is essentially a new game. How do you handle that is really important. And that's where the experiences are really going to come in for Kansas City.
I would agree. So, with all that said, who do you like in this one?
I've been trying to convince myself for a week and a half now that Philadelphia is going to win the game. And the fact that I use that term trying to convince myself tells me what I should do. Kansas City has time in and time out proven that they're going to win postseason games until they're proven otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a streak that is historic for many many reasons. But you look at the Chiefs team from 2 years ago, and you know this better than any, as you're wearing a Chiefs pullover.
Yeah.
It's a completely different team than it
Yeah.
was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
This built differently. They function differently. They play differently, and they're still finding ways to win, which is the mark of a great franchise, great coaching staff, and that's what they have. I mean, they're this decade's version of what the last 2 decades saw with the Patriots, what the '90s saw with the Cowboys, what the '80s saw with the 49ers. And so I'm going to go Kansas City. I think it's close. I think this is a 27-21 type contest. I think the Philadelphia is going to have a chance in the fourth quarter, and they're not going to be able to take advantage of that chance. And Kansas City wins it.
I'm with you. I've been going back and forth. I say all along the Chiefs never cover, but it's 1.5, so you kind of throw that
Mm-hmm.
out. Philadelphia's probably got the better roster,
Yeah.
more talented roster. But in a situation like this, it's going to come down to coaching. So you take Nick Sirianni over Andy Reid? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Fangio versus Spags? Probably lean towards Spags. Andy Reid versus Kellen Moore? Probably go Andy Reid. Kellen Moore's
Yep.
going to take the Saints job, so you gotta,
Yep.
So I can't. I don't know. I just can't see Big Red not cashing in the chips in
Yeah,
this one.
I agree. And also, Andy Reid came out and squashed any rumors of him retiring, said he's going to be back next year. I think that's huge for Kansas City.
Yeah.
We don't know if Kelsey is going to retire. A lot of people think that he might. One thing to kind of pay attention to, though, because we haven't had it in 3 years now,
Yeah.
we haven't had a dud in the Super Bowl. We've had good games. We've had games that have been decided by one possession. Obviously, it went to overtime a year or two ago. I think we might be due for a clunker. One that's 2 or 3 touchdowns. I mean, the last one that was really out of the sorts was when the Chiefs lost to Tampa Bay and Tom Brady,
Yeah.
31-9.
That
The
was a
game
beat
since
down.
then. I mean, Rams beat Cincinnati by 3. Kansas City beats Philadelphia by 3. Kansas City beats San Francisco by 3. I mean, 3 straight field goal games.
Yeah.
I don't want a bad game, but I think you got to remember, like, you don't always get a good one in the Super Bowl.
Good point. Very good point. But one thing you do get is prop bets.
Oh yeah, best part.
National anthem. 121 seconds is the over/under. John
It's a long
Batiste.
anthem.
Yeah, it is. But when you think about it, okay, it's 121. That's 2 minutes and 1 second.
2 minutes. Anything over about 55 seconds is long.
Yeah. But how long is the anthem normally?
I mean, if you've got the taped version that's the band, minute.
That's true.
Minute 21 is a long time. So I'm going to take the under.
Okay. So you'll go under. New Orleans native, you figure he's going to give it a little extra juice.
Yeah.
Also, this is one of those, it's not a random chance prop bet. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
people are probably bugging the heck out of him. So maybe
Well,
there's some,
scouring the internet and see if he's ever done the anthem before. And
and timing it
yeah.
out. People sneaking
Hmm.
into the Superdome, and yeah, so that'll be interesting. The
Yeah.
last note, there's a prop bet. How long he holds it? 3.5 seconds.
I mean, I don't even know who the guy singing is, so we'll
Yeah.
go over.
We'll go over. Okay,
Yeah.
John Batiste, New Orleans native. So, yeah,
Yeah.
there was
Never
one
heard of him.
of Taylor Swift showing it during the anthem, but it's like, I mean, that's totally on Fox, so uncontrollable. Kendrick Lamar is the halftime performer.
Okay.
The over under on me recognizing any of his songs is 0, and I will go under. 10.5 is the over under on number of songs he will perform.
Oh, way under. Like, does it mean by himself or total for everybody?
I think this is just the total number of halftime songs. Now, then
Yeah.
it becomes, if
Who
they
comes
play a
out with him?
medley,
Yeah.
I don't know if he has medleys. I tried listening to one of his songs this morning. I lasted 20 seconds. It's not my demographic. I get it. But
I'd go under that. That's a lot of songs to jam into 10 minutes.
yeah, but they always do that medley and they bring somebody out and they do a couple quick numbers. So, like, if you do a chorus from a song and segue into another chorus,
Mhm.
is that 2 songs? Or,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I don't know.
what's the definition of a song?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm curious to see who comes out with him because obviously Kendrick Lamar, he won 5 Grammys last week, so like
yeah,
he
he's
is
cleaning it
big
up.
time. But all anybody's ever talking about for the last 2 weeks is he going to play the track that disses Drake in it? That's all anybody
Yeah,
cares about.
well, he will. I mean, why
Has to.
wouldn't you? I
Yeah.
mean, if you
Has
got
to.
beef with somebody, you're going
Yeah.
to have the largest television audience in history. Hell yeah,
Hmm.
you're throwing the beef out.
Yeah.
It'd be crazy not to.
It's wild. Most people have no idea who Kendrick Lamar is, other than the fact that he's the guy that jumped out of the cardboard box when Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg did the Super halftime show a couple years ago.
Oh,
That's Kendrick Lamar.
okay. I still don't know who he is. So no offense, Kendrick, but hey, congratulations on the Grammys. Food, always important at the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. What food item must be available to be eaten?
Some kind of dipping cheese. Have to. You can make whatever kind of cheese dip you want. It could be Cheese Whiz. It could be straight out of the can. It could be Tostitos. It could be
Rotel.
Velveeta. Whatever the case may be, got to have some form of dipping cheese.
And then everything else is just a bonus, but you got to have the
Hmm.
cheese.
Absolutely.
So, with that in mind, is there a particular kind of chip that must be present with the cheese dip?
So this is going to kind of contradict things because I'm a little different. I think Fritos are a must-have for any sports party.
Regular size or dip
The big
size?
scoops. The big
Okay,
scoops.
I was going to say because the little
Because
ones
yeah, no, you gotta have the big scoops
that could get
because
messy.
it works with the sour cream and onion dip. It works
Ooh,
with the French onion dip. It works with the cheese dip. Frito is a universal chip.
yeah,
It's underrated.
it's the
To be quite
five
honest,
tool
it
player
is
of chips.
100%.
I love it. All right, and then okay, so you gotta have cheese. Now beverage options, and we include beverage options because some
Hmm.
may have the little ones.
Yeah,
They're probably not ready to be drinking beer yet.
yeah.
What
Start
what?
early.
How many options should be available?
Well, so I'm going to give you a number two for my favorite must-have food: the Little
Yeah.
Smokies, the Little Weenies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's by far always been my favorite.
Good call.
Beverages. I mean, it's going to depend. Obviously, you got to have the kids. So you got to have some soda.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have probably Coke and or Pepsi, and then some different varieties of that. That's a must. Obviously, you don't want to give it to the kiddos too late because they're going to be up all night.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, if it's a true pride and through to the core, I'm a damn American watching the game. What are the commercials we see throughout the entire broadcast? Beer commercials. Gotta have beer. Bud Light,
Yes.
Miller Light, maybe some Coors Light. Gotta have the staples. If you're a Modelo fan, throw a couple in there. Pick the gold flakes out of your teeth.
Yeah. And is the Modelo recruiter going to be out scouting Super Bowl parties?
Yeah. No,
That
nah, maybe.
that
So,
might be the next question we have to
yeah.
ask.
This is the
So,
first year I'm not having a party at my house than I can remember. And actually, I'm a little
oh,
disappointed about it.
really? What
Yeah.
happened?
And we decided we're going out to a restaurant. We've reserved a table, and so we're going to kind of do that experience. But I think I've hosted a Super Bowl party at my house since I moved to Fayetteville. And no,
Oh,
actually,
wow.
take that back. Going back to when I lived in Fort Smith, across from the TV station. So I'm talking 2014 or 15 is the last time I didn't host a Super Bowl party.
Wow. So this is going to be a totally new experience for you.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to handle it
Yeah.
either. So a lot of times though is because I chose to host because the Patriots were playing and I knew I would drink too much and I shouldn't be driving. So
Yeah.
it's going to stay home.
Well, and then that begs the question. When you're in a restaurant, you're not necessarily going to be able to hear it like you can at home.
Right.
Will that be a good thing or bad thing, or is it one of those where you say, okay, that's it, halftime, I'm
I think
to
for
the
this one it's
house?
good because I don't think Tom Brady's very good.
Well, I'm with you. I don't think he is. And I don't know that. And no offense to Burkhart, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold on that duo being the lead. And then Greg Olson was kind of having some beef
Uh-huh.
this week. He's very good. I don't know.
Yeah. But I'm also like the shine to me is worn off of Romo and Nance. I'm tired of hearing Jim Nance call big games in the AFC. I mean,
Yeah,
I've heard it for 20 years now.
that's true. Yeah.
Um,
So yeah,
there needs to be some new voices, whether it's Blair Cartwright or Bobby Swofford. There needs to be some new voices for
we'll
CBS
work.
football.
I guarantee you, we'll work much
Yeah,
cheaper than Nance.
give me Kevin Harlan and Ian Eagle. Give me them at a Super Bowl.
You know, Harlan is just awesome, and I'm assuming that he is calling it for Westwood One on
Yeah,
radio.
more than likely.
So it's halfway tempting to somehow link up the radio
Yeah.
call with the TV video.
Hmm.
He is he is phenomenal,
Yeah.
be it radio or video. So
Yeah, I was actually, and this is completely off topic, and I'm not going to dive into it too much, but I was having this text conversation with JB Brazil, who a guy I call some
yes,
games with for UCA. Uh, how boring is Tom Hart 45 to 75% of the time in a college basketball game?
very.
Like he'll literally sit there and talk about, oh, I talked to so and so 3 weeks ago, blah blah blah, and like they're literally the best dunk you've ever seen in your entire life happening, and he doesn't even acknowledge it. And but yet, in different parts of the game, he's losing his mind over a 3 pointer that makes the game 8-5.
Yeah, it's. I've noticed this with a lot of the ESPN people. It's become like an inside joke kind of party kind of.
Hmm.
It's all inside baseball, and it's like
Yeah,
they're having a conversation, and you feel like you're eavesdropping. It's weird. They've
yeah.
lost a lot of good play-by-play people. Benetti,
Hmm.
all the good ones are on Fox, but the thing is, Fox doesn't have any good games, so you never watch them.
Right. Yeah.
So
I need a streaming service that gives me all the games from all the channels because
yes,
out of habit I go to ESPN on the app just because I know that's where I'm going to find the most games. If I'm looking for a game to watch but I don't know where it is, I'm just going to go to ESPN and I'm going to find something.
yeah, if you can get the app to work half the time.
That's also
Yeah.
true.
So that's crazy. So that wraps up
Sorry for
our
diving
Super
off
Bowl
on that
coverage
tangent.
and a rabbit hole, which we like to do
Yeah,
here. To our topics. And they're back from the dead. Lazarus has risen.
man.
What is it about Groundhog Day and Razorback basketball?
We knew this team was better than their record. We knew it,
Yeah, well,
but
we hope so. I mean, the Michigan game
yeah.
way back when gave everyone hope,
Hmm.
and then
And of course, I mean, Nelly Davis was a shell of himself in the first 2 months of the season.
mhm,
Unfortunately for Arkansas and their fans, it took Boogie Flan being out for the year for Nelly Davis to go back to what he was supposed to be doing, which is handling the basketball majority of the time. He's the point guard. He runs things. He's a completely different player. I mean,
mhm.
what just starting with him alone, what he has done the last two games against Texas and then Kentucky going back is unreal. I mean,
Well, it's
that's who Arkansas expected to have, and then all of a
yeah.
sudden, the defense just shut down Texas. And granted, the defense and the fouls called at the end of that Texas game were outlandish.
Texas
Uh,
is not good.
no, but like the defense that Arkansas played for the first 30, 35 minutes of that game,
Hmm.
they can beat anybody in the country playing that kind of defense.
Yeah, it's like where's that? Where, the
Yeah,
team that
where's it
played
been?
at Kentucky and at Texas, where the hell have they been? Glad you're here. Gonna need them Saturday when Alabama comes to town.
Mm-hmm.
If they win that,
If they beat Alabama this weekend,
which is
grant
not out of the
one,
realm of
yeah,
possibility.
Yurichek's gonna have to sign a check because they're gonna storm the floor. But
Well,
you're
he'll
back because
ride
I
it.
saw I saw that Lenardi had them first four out. They're back in the tournament
Yeah.
just like
Oh,
that.
oh, easy, easy.
Yeah,
And I'll tell you, speaking of Hunter, his reseeding plan was totally saved by the win at Kentucky
no doubt.
because that thing tanks if they get
Mm-hmm.
blown out.
If they
So
beat out, and great, it's a big gift. Beating a top five team doesn't happen. Mark Sears is one of the best players in the country. It's unreal
mhm.
how much he can score. I saw that he's got the most of any active player 20-point games in college basketball.
Oh wow.
But if they can find some way to beat Alabama, which would not shock anybody, especially
Mm-mm.
at Bud Walton,
Yeah. Oh my
Arkansas
God.
is they're not only back in the tournament conversation, they're back in the field of 64,
And suddenly tickets are going to be hard to find.
and people are actually going to start going to the games again.
Yeah. I mean, a month ago you couldn't give them away. Now
Mm-hmm.
can't find them.
Yep.
It's Saturday night, Bud Walton Arena. It's going to be nuts.
Yep.
Nuts. All right. Moving on. Before we move on totally from basketball, the Nolan statue ASAP.
Yeah. So I think we talked about this last week, maybe the week before, but the fact that Asia Wilson has a statue at South Carolina and Nolan Richardson doesn't have one at Arkansas.
Sad.
I mean, the value of statues is clearly not very high on Yurichek or Arkansas's fundraising
No.
priority list.
He's the only coach that's won a national championship on that campus, doesn't have a statue.
Yeah.
Fulbright didn't win a championship. He's got a statue.
Bobby Hopper didn't win a championship. He's got a tunnel named after him.
There you go. Name the well, we can't name Mr.
John Paul
Hopper's
Hammerschmidt.
Yeah.
That guy.
I mean, Nolan's got the court, he's got the street. Give him the trifecta. Give him the statue.
Here's a question for you.
Yeah.
When is the naming rights contract up at Bud Walton?
I don't know that there is one.
Because Donald W. Reynolds' naming rights is up for the football stadium now,
Yeah.
I believe.
I don't think the basketball facilities ever had naming rights.
Well, I'm sure the Waltons probably have it.
Yeah. Well, but that
And if the
would
Waltons
make
don't
sense,
pony up
Bobby,
the
so we
money,
can't do that.
so say Chicken Man says, "Hey, I got to the coach. Now I want the arena," and he says, "I'll give you $50 million." You're now playing in the Tyson Arena, not Bud Walton.
Oh, totally. You're playing in the chicken coop, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring it on. And you're serving Razorback nuggets and you're drinking Tusk beer. Fight on.
Yeah, the hog trough turns into the hen house.
Yes. Oh, I'm totally with you. No, that makes. I'm surprised it hadn't happened
I am
because when they announced the NIL numbers, there was a hole of 7 million that wasn't accounted for. Well, we now know the reseeding plan at Bud Walton Arena is expected to fill that 7. That's
too.
I don't know. That's a big ask, and we'll dive into that another day. Razorback Baseball just around the corner. It's opening day next week, so you know it's going to snow in Northwest Arkansas. Picked to finish third in the SEC, but only one player named to the All-SEC first team.
Yeah, a lot of high expectations for the offense of a bunch of players you don't know if they're going to produce in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, so what Arkansas and what I guess a lot of the media people are thinking, Arkansas's got a lot of really, really good players. They don't have great players.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's the one thing with the portal and everything now.
I had no idea Will McIntyre still had college eligibility left, and then he started doing these interviews.
Oh wow!
That's like 30 years old.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's shocking. So, interesting. Now to the NFL. We'll wrap up with some NFL topics. Kellen Moore, I got to be the Saints coach, but the crazy thing is, no one's talking about it, and the Super Bowl's in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. I think that it's been wrapped up for a week now, maybe longer. Everybody knows that Moore's going to New Orleans, probably be announced on Monday or Tuesday, depending if they win the game or not.
Is it just a given? It's just odd.
Yeah.
There's, nothing. Not even, crazy rumor slappy trying to be the first one to tweet it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just because it's so. There's nobody.
Job.
There's well, not necessarily that. There's no more viable candidates other than Kellen Moore to get the job, unless they hire some assistant coordinator for way out of left field.
Or
And
Mike McCarthy comes.
Well, and McCarthy pulled out.
Oh, that's right. So yeah. So we knew it was more. So craziness. The Players Association pushing back on 18 games.
As they should.
Yeah. And the current CBA, as you see on the graphic, through the 2030 season, so it's not coming anytime soon, but I mean, 17's kind of too much anyway, isn't it?
Well, it is, and you brought it up a couple times. Like, you know, the last week, which used to be week 17, used to be so exciting because you had games that meant something in every window, and all 8-10 teams fighting for a playoff spot. This year, there was one game in week 18 that affected any kind of playoff seeding.
Yeah,
and obviously it was a Sunday night game, and so like you've got 15 games that are involved. 30 or 32 teams are playing backups all day. Like, nobody wants to watch that.
No.
And that's what's going to happen if you expand it out to the 18th game. Guess what? Seeds are going to be locked up after 16 games, and so now you're going to have 2 weeks of backups playing. Nobody wants to watch that. I get that the preseason is not there for the value of the fans that's included in your season tickets, but pushing a regular season out to 18 games is too much. But what the NFL wants, though, is they want to stretch out the season at least another week. And the Super Bowl falls the day before President's Day, and everybody has off work on Sunday. And so you can party hardy and spend more money about the NFL and the Super Bowl.
Well, it's all about money. It's just a total cash grab. It's gotten to the point where they're going to end up killing. They're going to end up causing it to go the other way, because look at every other league. They play too many games, and people are just like, oh well. Okay. Josh Allen is your MVP. Yeah. They had the awards. I don't know. Not surprising, but did you get in the NFL awards? To me, it was just kind of like.
Yeah, I just waited for Adam Schefter to tweet who won. That's really all I did.
I mean, they tried to turn it into a TV show. Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get some kind of attention. I like how they have it the week of the Super Bowl. They moved it up a couple days because I think it used to be the day before, and so at least they pushed it up a little bit. I'm fine with it. Give the NFL the big spotlight, and you can honor the Walter Payton Man of the Year, Rookie of the Year, all that. I'm honestly good with it. The MVP vote was close. I think like what everybody expected it to. I'm glad Josh Allen won it because I honestly do think he means more to his team than Lamar Jackson's a quarterback on a really good team. There's no question. Josh Allen's kind of all that Buffalo had. So I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I haven't seen the final tally. I saw it was 27-23 in first place votes. I haven't seen how close the overall point total was, though.
Yeah, it was pretty close, and I noticed I just spelled career wrong. So,
hey.
What a shock I would spell something wrong. All right. So we'll move over now to our final thoughts. Hey, we've got a new YouTube channel. Be sure you subscribe and like the show. Tell your friends right there, HPMM Podcast. Send us an email. Send us a picture. Tweet us a picture or email us a picture of your Super Bowl day spreads.
Yes.
We would
Show me your dips.
Yes. Bobby wants to see your dips, so come on, make it happen.
In the words of Kenny Mayne, my favorite sports center anchor, going back to our conversation we're having, please bring me all your finest meats and cheeses. That's what I need.
Yes, indeed, because it's going to be a big-time weekend. So really, I mean, what a great viewing weekend. We've got Razorback Basketball Saturday night. Sleep in a little bit and get ready for when do you start watching the Super Bowl coverage?
I'll turn it on about 2:30 to 3 o'clock. I'll turn the volume on about 4.
Pacing is important. Final word.
Have a beer for me this weekend, Blair.